Listen, you're not gonna find anything on me, okay? Trust me.
Empty your pockets into the tray, sir, or we'll have to. Your pockets, sir?
Lady, the problem isn't in my pants.
Welcome back to Thick and Critical. This is Wes. It was kind of a big week in X-Men. We got the end of the Hellfire Gala. We had the Leah Williams controversy. I'm over Hellfire Gala. We talked about it enough in Comics Aficionados yesterday. I already covered the Leah Williams stuff, and I'm washing my hands of it. So we've got an interesting interview from Adventures in Poor Taste with the X-Men group editor Jordan White to talk about a lot of information concerning Hickman, essentially confirming a lot of the things that we've been talking about here on the channel. Obviously, here to talk to me about that is the X-Men historian, the Marvel aficionado himself. Doc, how you doing?
I'm fine, man. This is I'm glad that the dinner party of X is over, and now we can watch the train wreck complete.
I wonder, are the people that told me I was a fool and misinformed and basically spreading lies when I said they're not doing Jonathan Hickman's X-Men anymore? He's essentially exited the building. He's not even writing most of the comics. They didn't confirm that part here, but if you read them, you'll know that. I wonder if people are going to apologize to me, Doc, now that Jordan White has essentially confirmed, yes, it's not Jonathan Hickman's X-Men anymore, and it hasn't been for some time.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether or not we're going to get both of us are going to get apologies, because I basically said that he mentally checked out like 6 months ago. He was just checked out, wandering around, doing whatever the hell he wants. As long as the check clears, he didn't give a fuck anymore.
So it was addressed in 3 questions with AIPT. Now let's cover the first one. We'll cover them in order, Doc. Okay, this is for the question. As we wrap up, let's try to resolve 2 issues of great concern for fans of Jonathan Hickman's X-Men era. X-Men, my mutant power is spell checked asked, with the Hellfire Gala ending this week and Inferno on the horizon, where are we in the grand scheme of this mutant epic? The first act, the second, neither. The answer from Jordan White, very interesting, confirms a lot of what I've already said. Well, we've talked about it. You said it too. I don't want to just take credit myself.
Yeah.
This is what he says. I think the answer is that those terms are obsolete at this point, that we've moved past that idea so far that we're not really charting it on the map. Obviously, they moved past it quite a while ago, and they haven't been doing Jonathan Hickman's X-Men for some time. That's a reason that it felt so stale. It's felt so awful when Jonathan Hickman's been writing X-Men for the most part, unless he's doing the stuff that it goes back to House of X Powers of 10, where he's doing what he initially started. It's felt so bad.
Yeah. I mean, we've been saying for a long time that it feels like that train decided not only to jump the track, it went and started its own track and then put in a couple of stations, wandered around, decided it was going to grow some wings and fly. This ain't even a fucking train anymore. It's just off doing its own thing. And from time to time, those like 5 or 6 issues of X-Men where he's actually touched on it, it's felt like House of X and Powers of X. It's felt like a continuation of that story, like the Vault issues and the Orcus issues. It's felt like it's back on what the original idea is. And the whole thing is, what we've been saying for a long time. All the other stuff, all the random nonsense with the plants and the drug dealing and the corporations and all that other stuff feels like superfluous nonsense that this clown, this ukulele playing clown and his legion of dumbasses added into it. And Hickman's been just kind of killing time, and then he'll throw us a bone from time to time on the shit that he actually wanted to do.
Yes, the water has been poisoned like we've speculated. And you see it in the other titles. Even Ben Percy's X-Force started out very strong. We got this new villain group, Xeno, falling right off the tracks. Wolverine, certainly not as strong as it was when it first started. Marauders, Excalibur, New Mutants. Even though Hickman was on New Mutants, he was trying to establish something, and then it just fell apart. They've all fallen apart, except for a couple of titles. I would say X-Men versus Fantastic Four felt relevant, felt like it tied in a little bit to House of X Powers of 10, Way of X, but even that I don't think is Hickman's plan or his vision.
I agree completely. This is all the stuff that Hickman got outvoted on in the office. Everybody else started adding stuff. He eventually just threw up his hands and said, fine, do whatever you want. I'll just cash my checks and I'll throw in a thing from time to time that actually matters whenever it actually can fit. But this is the same idiocy that brought the need for bringing in a Jonathan Hickman in the first place, because once again, that ukulele playing clown running that office mismanages even not managing things. You know,
that's the important thing here, Doc, is leadership. Something that certainly I was involved in a lot during my time in the military, especially at the end when I was a senior NCO. Part of being a leader is understanding who your people are, what their strengths are, and helping to develop them. The way you develop somebody that isn't quite up to snuff isn't to give them the biggest project in the office. It's to find them a project that they can manage and potentially succeed at, build up some confidence, let them learn the processes, you know, and grow as a creator or whatever it is you're doing. That's part of your job as a leader. It feels like Jordan White's leadership style is to never say no and let whatever the idiots in his office want to do, I don't want to hurt their confidence, so I got to say yes to everything, rather than realizing that perhaps Tini Howard and Jerry Duggan don't have the ideas that are going to push a franchise like X-Men, which is one of the premier franchises in the entire comic book industry, as well as in entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, that's spot on. You know, Hickman came in to be the head of X and to kind of direct where the line was going. But Jordan White's job in this case was to hire other people if they were going to expand the line beyond just Hickman's X-Men book, to expand the line, hire creators, direct those creators to keep them in line with what Hickman's plan was. He obviously failed at that.
It's to execute his vision.
Yes, his job was to execute Hickman's vision, not for Hickman to come in and improve Jordan White's vision. They have this all backwards, and he failed. Jordan White failed miserably at executing Hickman's vision, and as a result, they've had to essentially just abandon what he was originally planning.
Yeah, obviously he's still executing it here and there. We're going to get that Inferno and stuff, but the train has left it, or has fallen off the tracks, and Jordan White essentially confirms that. There's another question. This one's the next one from Adventures in Poor Taste. Yeah, I see a lot of people bring this up, and I assume Jonathan mentioned the axe initially. And this is Jordan's reply. For sure. What it is that Jonathan came in with, what it is that Jonathan came in with plans. Jonathan came in with plans like he always does, but working with everybody changed his plans, and they have changed to a degree that trying to apply his original act structure to it doesn't work. That's not the structure we're following right now. It's a new one, and it's one that he likes better. So the answer is, we're not in any act. I imagine Jonathan Hickman doesn't like it better. He's off of Twitter. He's stopped doing interviews. And you can tell that he, for the most part, doesn't write X-Men anymore. Certainly he's off the title. But prior then, there were very few of the X-Men issues that you could tell that he actually wrote.
Yeah, and there was very few that he felt engaged in. It felt like there was a lot of issues where he was obviously mentally checked out. Even the X-Gala issue, I don't believe he wrote the vast majority of that. I believe he wrote some of it and outlined the rest, and somebody else. I think
he wrote the first 6 pages.
Yeah, I don't even think it hit that many. But regardless, he is very evidently checked out because there's no care for you. You don't have any energy. There's no interesting through lines and plots. You can always tell when a creator gives a shit about the thing they're creating and when they're just cashing a paycheck. It's hard to really quantify in words, but you get a feeling while you're reading it that this guy didn't care. And
well, I don't blame Jonathan Hickman. I want to
No,
put this
I
out.
don't.
I'm sorry.
I don't.
I don't blame Jonathan Hickman for this. If you were in a room, they start up this Slack chat or Zoom calls or whatever, and you get vetoed by 9 other creators that are so far beneath you as far as talent and pedigree in the industry, and then your group editor goes along with the morons rather than the person that revitalized the franchise, what the hell are you going to do? You're like, this place is a joke. You sign my checks and you can keep putting my name on the book, but this isn't mine. I could give 2 shits. I don't blame him.
Yeah, I think he abandoned the structure because, first of all, this new way, maybe he does like it in a certain way because now
he's still getting
not
paid. He's not having to work.
Yeah, he's getting paid for shit where he doesn't have to work. He doesn't have to meet any sort of timeline for getting the story and the act and everything else. And 3, 4, 5 years later down the line where he was going to have to, I don't know, looking for new work or creating new projects. Now he doesn't have to because he can just ride this gravy train until the wheels fall off.
Yeah, what a mismanagement of resources. You get a name creator that comes back, just ignites the fan base for X-Men, and then you drop the ball so incredibly fast and so incredibly poorly. Only somebody, a buffoon of Jordan White's, credentials could pull something like this off. I'm not shocked, but hey, what's Jonathan Hickman going to do? Deal with morons.
He's going to keep the paychecks. He's going to keep taking them. And he's still eventually going to get to tell his story. But what they promised, what they likely, I don't want to guarantee anything, but what they likely promised him is you get control, you get creative direction. This guy, this group editor, he's there to make sure your vision gets executed with all the tie-ins and the ancillary and the spin-off stuff. He failed at that. He failed miserably at that. But Jonathan Hickman is a professional. He's able to just kind of roll with the punches to a degree and just waits and bides his time. He makes a bunch of fill-in nonsense. And I'm betting that this actually really does start to explain to me why whenever they launched X-Men, he already probably had a pretty good idea of where this was going when he said, you know what, all the X-Men issues, the X-Men series is going to be a series of one and dones, because then he doesn't have to have a through line of plot and B plot and, kind of like this long, episodic structure to the book. Then he could just stick in, random one shot, one and done issues that don't have to have anything to do with further continuity, shit like the grandmas and the plant ladies. Why it's easy for him to just fill in two issues during the Empire crossover, because they didn't matter. None of them mattered. And
I'm pretty certain he didn't write those. I've been told that maybe he wrote the first page on those Empire comics. So there is another question kind of talking about what you're alluding to here. And I guess this one was from X-Fans Miguel 2004, Griffin, and Adam the Uncaring are all concerned that Jonathan Hickman's time with the X-Men is ending after Inferno. Should X-Fans keep worrying or should they relax? His time on X-Men is essentially over. He's no longer the head of X. They're not following his plan anymore. And, I think my prediction that he would be leaving X-Men has come true a little bit earlier in 2021 than I anticipated. But he is going to be continuous to do miniseries, as Jordan White says here. They should relax, but you'll see. The answer is you'll see where we are, and big things are going to happen in Inferno in more ways than one, and you'll get more information about Inferno pretty soon, relatively soon, before it comes out for sure. But don't worry, we do have a lot of stuff mapped out. We do have a lot of plans that Jonathan has been working on with everybody, and you'll see, and you'll find out more very soon. It's a lot of very vague, general. Yeah, you'll see. He's still in it. He's going to do a mini series or two every year, maybe.
Yeah, that's you got a lot of non-answer in this answer, and I think it's avoiding admitting that he won't be writing a regular title. He'll have 1 to 2 miniseries per year, and it depends on whether or not, where the rest of that fucking clown car of an office finally gets to a place where he can insert his whatever miniseries is it. So if it takes them 12 months, that they're going to just waste a bunch of time, waste a bunch of money with a bunch of no plot advancement stories that are just their weird self-insert fanfics like X Factor and Cable and Children of the Atom and Excalibur are, then so be it. I mean, Ben Percy could probably waste another 12 months on stupid plant shit with Terra Verde, and nobody's going to care because nobody cares about this story. So they'll keep spinning their wheels until they finally get enough traction to get to a place where whatever miniseries he writes next, for all we know, he could have already written every single miniseries coming from the rest of it and been done, and they just have to figure out where to stuff them in the continuity to finally get there.
I will say, I believe the X-Men Slack chat has been an absolute failure. We can see that they've lost a creative direction. Jonathan Hickman is checked out, and essentially, the inmates are running the asylum now.
Yeah, Hickman probably, he may be in that Slack chat. He probably was early on. He probably had no objection to it early on, but once he realized that it was like herding cats, crazy one-eyed feral cats, he probably just kind of threw his hands up and walked away from it. Jordan didn't do his job. Hickman wasn't going to do that job. And he because all that Slack channel gives is it's kind of an echo chamber of stupidity and almost a who can out idiot themselves with, and then amuse each other. Because that's all it's for. It's for amusing each other.
No, it's really not. It's a little group. And once you're in the group and you've been accepted in the group, then they can't kick you out. That's why you have Leah Williams moving on to the trial of Magneto. That's why Vita Ayala got a couple of one shots here and there until they could finally find an actual series for them. That's what they're using the Slack chat for. And I guess if you get in, they give you like a one shot here or there so they can find a project for you. And then once you're in, there's ostensibly no way to get you out. Apparently, there are other offices within Marvel that want a setup similar to what the X-Men office has. And the leadership at Marvel, to their credit, has said, this has not turned out well, and there's no way we're having a Spider-Man Slack chat because it is absolutely ran X-Men off the rails. And, sales show that. The sales have tanked. They've had to cancel multiple series now, and they can't even do an ongoing. They can't launch new ongoing comics anymore. They can only do miniseries because nobody has faith, in the office anymore, in what X-Men creators are going to produce in 2021.
Yeah. Look, what it comes down to is they needed a much better editor to herd the cats in that office than Jordan White is. They needed somebody stronger. They needed a better personality. They needed somebody that was going to be, look,
they needed a leader.
They needed an XO is what they needed.
A leader. They didn't need a best friend for all the other creators. They put the best friend in the office, and guess what? He never said no. They lost the best thing X-Men has had in quite some time. He's checked out, and now you have a rudderless ship with a bunch of morons, going in 90 different directions with a bunch of stories that are essentially unreadable.
Yeah, Jonathan Hickman's supposed to be the captain of that boat, and he needed a solid XO, and they gave him a clown show. That's what it comes down to. He needed somebody that was going to be a hard ass, and instead they gave everybody.
You don't have to be a hard ass to be a good leader. You just have to be able to execute the vision and keep people on task.
Well, that's the thing. You don't need a leader as the editor there because Jonathan Hickman is the leader. I don't know
that Jonathan Hickman is a leader. He's a creative person. He's likely worked by himself his entire life. Leadership Some people are born leaders. A lot of people aren't. You have to be put into the crucible to actually develop those skills. Jonathan Hickman probably needed someone to help him execute through leadership his creative vision.
Yeah, well, he needed somebody to keep everybody in line, whether you want to call that leadership or if you want to just call it a hard ass. Doesn't matter. I don't care what way it happens. They needed somebody to keep everybody in line, and they didn't get that.
Yeah, you don't have to be a hard ass to tell people no and to keep people on task in moving forward with what's going on. You know, there's a time to be a hard ass, and there's a time where you can just say no and be nice about it.
And I think at this point, Hickman has said, though, that, I mean, I think his actions say that he's letting the lunatics run the asylum. He'll throw in a story from here, from time to time as it fits with whatever nonsense, direction they're going. He'll try to kind of steer it back with one of his miniseries from time to time, but
he's not steering anything back. His Inferno stuff isn't touching. I guarantee you, it's not really going to affect anyone else's comics, except maybe a little bit. That maybe they'll mention it.
Probably.
It's its own thing now.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, look, if you came in for House of X and Powers of X, I think the answer is only read Hickman's stuff and literally ignore the rest of the line. I mean, honestly, it says, Hellions is a good comic, but it's not going to be reflective of Hickman's vision.
Not true. Well, we've got Mr. Sinister, who plays a big part in House of X Powers 10 on Mars with the what is it, the Chimera mutants and all that stuff. It sounds like we're moving into that territory, perhaps.
Perhaps, but until we actually see it done, I'm saying that I don't have faith until I think all of this series so far, all of them have proven that without following Hickman's direction, they kind of go completely off the rails. Each of the titles, everyone, I mean, Percy has deviated from what Hickman was doing. His books have gone off the rails.
I think Percy's got a new gig. I think he's got a newer, higher paying gig, and he's just not paying a lot of attention to comics right now.
Well, yeah, possibly. But my point is, everybody that got left to their own devices, that were able to do what they wanted, not something that was serving Jonathan Hickman's story, all of their stories have gone off the rails. Zeb Wells, to his credit, for the time being, is his work on Hellions is still serving Jonathan Hickman's story. Now, if it stops, it may still remain good, but it won't matter anymore. That's my point.
Yeah, it's the entertaining comic that's in there. I'm still looking forward to Inferno. I can't see myself actually reading the Trials of Magneto now, but hey, that's what it is. Hey, neener. I told you I was right. Jonathan Hickman has left the building. He's not leading the X-Men anything anymore. They've gone astray from whatever he was building a long time ago. Jordan White confirmed that this week, and hey, I hate to say it, but I was right.
Yep, we were all right. So, look, you all of the Hickman era fans that say that we do nothing but hate on it. Well, that's because this isn't what we wanted. We wanted Hickman's vision, and we got an admission this week that we weren't getting Hickman's vision. We've been saying for a while we're not getting Hickman's vision, and we're not getting Hickman's vision. They confirmed it.